Fine. So today what we'll do is we'll go through conditional statements, okay, and then if time permits, we'll try to understand. We'll be creating a program in order to understand how to use for loop, while loop, conditional statements all together, and what is the difference between for and while loop, right? Because both look same, but both are not same, right? There are completely different. Just to give you heads up, what does a for loop and while loop do? You had a question yesterday, right? For loop basically, if I have a collection, for loop execute based on the collection. Okay? I cannot execute for loop if I have 5 items in the collection. I cannot execute for loop more than 5 times. Not at all possible, right?
Okay.
Because every time it will go and take the item from the collection, and based on that it works. I can reduce the number of iterations by stopping in between, but I cannot increase the number of iterations. In while loop we can, because until your while condition is true, it will keep on executing, right? So if I do not increment the value of I inside the while loop, it will still execute, the iteration will happen, right? So in while loop we can basically manipulate the number of iterations. So let's say if I am creating a game, right, where I am asking the user to give some input, right, and user is giving wrong input, invalid. So there are two things that we can do. The first thing is, if I have 5 chances, if I am giving 5 chances to the user, and within that 5 chances, if the player is giving some invalid data, if I go with for loop, those invalid data will also consider as a chance, right? If I go with while loop, then I can ignore those invalid data and I can consider only the valid input as a chance. So user can enter 5 invalid and 5 valid, 10 times they can enter, right? That is the that is something that we can do with the while loop. So while loop is much more flexible, and in while loop we can also manipulate the number of iterations, but in for loop it cannot go beyond the collection limit, right? Now we know that if I have some data, some statement which I want to execute multiple times, then we can go with a loop instead of duplicating, copy pasting the code, right? If I have a scenario where I have some single data, one in data, and then there are multiple logic that can be executed based on some conditions, right? For example, let's say I am taking the age, right? And if age is less than 18, then I want to print minus. If age is between 18 to 60, then I want to print adult, and beyond 60 I want to print senior, right? So we have one input and 3 scenarios, right? When you have one input and multiple scenarios based on some condition, okay, then which topic we should go with? We should go and implement conditional statement. Okay, so conditional statement starts with if, right? Conditional statement starts with if, followed by multiple scenarios, right? So the first condition is if, followed by the condition age is less than 18. Block of code, with colon we are starting the block of code, and the next line, once you enter, it goes to the tab space, right? And here we are writing the scenario, what should happen. So I want to print minus. If age is greater than 18, and age is less than 60, if age is greater than 60, so I've written three scenarios. The first scenario is validating whether the age is less than 18 or not. If it's 18, then it goes inside and print minor. Second scenario is where we check whether the age is between 18 to 60. If it's true, then it goes inside and print adult. Otherwise, it goes to the third condition where it prints, checks senior, age is beyond 60 and prints senior. Right? Now let's say if I am entering 18 or if I am entering 12, which condition will be true? If I enter 12, first condition will be true, goes inside it print minor. After printing minor, does it go and check the second condition? Yeah? Yes or no? No? Let's check it once. Let me give it 12. Now when I enter 14, first condition is true, right? So it will go inside and print minor. Then will it go to the second condition, because second condition is also true? So will it go and print adult? Will it go and print? It will print. It is checking both the conditions, right? That means this condition, the code which I have written, these are three independent conditional statements, right? So it will always go and check all the three conditions, because I have kept if condition. If I am starting with if, right? Whenever you start with if, it becomes a separate independent conditional block. If you want one conditional block wherein I just check the first condition, if the first condition is true, then do not validate the second and third condition. In those scenarios, we have to go with Elif. Now what happens? It starts checking from the first condition. If the first condition is false, then it goes to the second. Let's assume that the second condition is true. So if the second condition is true, then it goes inside print and then stop. It does not go and check the third condition. So now what will happen when I give 14? Will it print minor or minor adult both?
Only
Prints only minor. So this becomes your single conditional block. Right? Now based on your requirement, if you want to have single block, then you should put Elif. If you want separate block, that means irrespective of whatever be the scenario, you want to check both the conditions, then you can go with if block. Okay. Also, like I have seen most of the time how people write, they enter and then they start writing like this. This is wrong. You'll get syntax error. This is not correct statement. So they start writing like this. This is wrong. This will give syntax error. Can anyone tell me why I'm getting syntax error at this line? So this Elif is searching for its if block. There is no if block, right? It becomes a parent. That if statement is a parent, right? So there is no if block. So whenever you start with Elif, there should be if block for that Elif. So we should always write inline, something like this. It should be inline. Okay. There's one more condition, one more keyword, which is a else block. Now what does the else block do? If none of the conditions are matching, if none of the conditions are true, then the cursor of the control goes to the else block. Okay, so if I execute now, and if I give 69, what will happen? First condition is false, second is also false. So it will go to else block and it will print senior. Right? Now what happens? First condition is true or false? False, right? So it goes to second condition. Second is true or false? False, right? So it goes to the else block and it prints senior. Is it correct? Should it print senior? No, right? Minus 90 is not a valid age, right? Which means else block we should always use as a otherwise block. We should not keep the logic which is condition biased. Senior we have to print only when the age is more than 60, right? So we should not keep that in the else block, because for more than 60 it is working fine, but it is also working incorrectly for negative ages, right? Because it is considered as part of else block, and else block will execute if none of the if or else blocks are true, right? So we should we shouldn't put a specific condition inside the else block. It should always be specific condition. You have to specify the condition and then put the logic. Else block should contain the general logic which can be handled irrespective of all the conditions. The common logic. Right? Now let's say there is a requirement wherein I want to capture if the age is minor, then I want to ask for the city, and based on the city, if city is Bangalore, then we'll print Bangalore minor from Bangalore, otherwise we'll print only minor. So again there are two conditions over here. When city is Bangalore, then there is a different logic that we need to execute. When city is not Bangalore, then there is a different logic, right? So there are two conditions. What should we do here? If there are two conditions, one input conditional statement. So let me take the city. If city is equal to Bangalore, so whenever you have the scenario where you have one input and multiple logic that needs to be executed, you can go ahead with conditional statements. So here I have nested conditional block, right? When the age is between 0 to 18, then it goes and checks the city, and based on city is Bangalore or not, it prints the output.
We ask just a input into plus the system.
Yes. If you ask only input, it considers a string. That's why I'm not putting str of input. Right? And here I'm putting int of input because age I want as a number. Okay? If age is 18, then what will happen? Tell me. It's not printing. It will print. If age is 18, first condition is false, second is false, third is false, so it goes to else block. Okay, sorry. It goes to else block, right? So if you want to handle age as 18, then include in the condition greater than equal to 18, and this should be
How is condition check if you put the double greater than or
I didn't get it.
it's working?
Less than means it will check if A is less than 18. If you want to check equal to condition also, then you can give less than equal to 18. So it will check whether A is 18 or below 18, right? With only less than, it is not considering 18. So if you pass 18, then it goes to else block, not valid. Clear, right? Now what I want, currently it is asking age only once, right? I want to ask multiple times, right? I want to ask the age multiple times. So what should we do? We need to execute this same piece of code multiple times. So which concept should we go and implement? For loop or while loop. So let's put the loop over here. For x in range of 5, and this entire block will be inside the loop. Now if I go and execute this, it is asking me the age. It is asking 5 times, right? Right? So what we have done, we have used loop with conditional statements. Whenever you have a scenario where you want to execute something multiple times, go with the loop. Whenever you have the scenario where you want to execute something based on the scenario conditions, right? Then go with conditional statements. Right? Now what I don't want to execute this 5 times, but I want to keep this entire code keep on executing until the user says that user wants to continue. So I want to ask the user, do you want to continue? If user say yes, then we'll ask the age again, print, and then again we'll ask the user, do you want to continue or not? So user has to mention yes or no. If they mention yes, then we'll continue. If they mention no, then we'll stop. So in that case, we cannot go with a for loop. Because for loop, we are predefining that it will run for 5 times. Right? But when we are interacting with the user, we don't know, right, how many times user want to execute. So we have to go with while loop. Now to go with while loop, I have to build some condition over here. While based on something it will run, right? So based on the user input, if user says that user want to continue, then we'll execute, right? So let me define something called choice, which is like y, and then we'll check if choice is equal to y, then go inside. So this becomes my initialization, this becomes condition, right? Now here choice will ask the user input, press y to continue. Now if user enters y, choice will become y, it goes back to the condition. If choice is y, then this condition will become true, it will again go inside and execute. Y. Anything else, it will stop. Because the condition will become false, right? So here what we have done, this is my initialization. This is the initialization. This is the condition checking. And this becomes managing the condition. And managing the condition is not always about incrementing or decrementing. We just need to give some scenario based on which the while loop will execute, right? So this is a scenario. If the choice value is y, then it will execute, otherwise it will not. Clear? Okay. There is one more way. See, so here what we are doing, we are basically asking the use, like we are mentioning the choice as y, and based on the choice we are driving the while loop, right? If the user selects some other value other than y, then it will stop. Okay. Let's do one more approach where we'll not ask anything. And let it execute always. While true means condition will never become false, right? True means always it will be true. So this will keep on executing. It will never stop. And then we'll ask the user choice here. And if choice is not equal to y, then we'll stop. So in the previous example, what we are doing, based on the condition we are executing, and in the second one, based on the condition we are stopping. Right? So this is an infinite loop while true, and then we are stopping based on some condition. We are stopping it here. And what does a break do? Break statement terminates the immediate loop. The immediate loop will get terminated with the break. Okay. While true, there is no initialization, no condition. Condition is always true. Here we are initializing and checking the condition and then taking the action. Okay. Let's have a list, or not list, for x in range of 6, x is equal to 3, then break, otherwise print x. Now what does this do? what would be the output?
3, the loop will stop.
0, 1, 2.
3.
3 will also not come. 0, 1, 2. Because when x is 3, it goes inside the if block, and then there is a statement break. So it will stop there. Right? It will come out. If I give something outside, now what happens? It comes out, and then it prints 0, 1, 2 end. Loop terminate. Okay. Instead of break, if I mention continue, then what happens? Continue does not terminate the entire loop. Continue terminates only that iteration, that execution, right? So 0, 1, 2, and then when x is 3, it goes inside the if block and then continues. So from there it goes back to the loop. It does not go in to the next line. So the output will be 0, 1, 2, 4, 5 and end. Which one?
The last
So what does the continue do? Continue will terminate that iteration, right? So when x was 3, it went inside, and then from there it did not go to the next line, it went to the loop and took the next value of x. So continue terminates that iteration, break terminates the entire, all the iterations. Let's say I don't want to put any logic inside the if condition. Will this work? If I do something like this, will this work? Empty if block. Can I keep an empty block? This is not going to work. This will give me indentation error because we started the block but we are not putting anything, right? So if you want to create empty block, in other languages we can do open and close flower brackets. But in Python, if you want to create empty block, then you have to put pass. Now pass represents the empty block. That means there is a conditional statement if x equal to 3, but there is no logic, nothing to be executed. Clear? Okay. Now one small assignment, okay, where we need to use the concept of for loop, while loop, conditional statement, and break, pass, continue. Okay, so this entire thing comes in the logic building. Without this concept, we cannot build the logic, right? So the assignment is that we need to create a chessboard, right? And chessboard contains boxes, right? If you have seen the chessboard, and then there is a alternate color, black, white. So what we'll do is we'll divide this task into 5 subtasks. So today I'll just mention the 4th subtask. The last one I'll not mention because that is the final task. Right? So the first task is we'll take the column size from the user, and based on the column size we have to print this pattern. This can be done, right? This can be done. This is easy. Repetition concept. Column size into B. Right? If you are able to do this, then the second task would be to take the column size and make it alternate. Black, white, black, white. Okay? Once this is done, then we'll take the column size and the row size, and based on that we'll print the row. Based on the row size, we'll print that many number of rows. You have to apply the loop, right? For x in range of row size, and then you have to do print column size into B. So that will show. The 4th task is we'll take the column size, row size, and then this should be alternate. Clear? So here you have to apply for loop, while loop, or conditional statement. Along with that, we also need to see how to toggle between B, W, right? So you have to put some condition. Maybe one of the condition could be all the even numbers contains B and all the odd contains W in the first line. In the next line, all the even contains W, all the odd contains B. And then again in the third line, all the even will contain B, odd will contain W, right? So it will toggle line wise, horizontally, and also vertically. Okay. Any confusion, doubts? Confused? Uh, which part you are confused with? The first task is to take the column size. Based on the column size, if the column size is 4, we'll print 4 times black, B, 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 right? If you are able to achieve this, then we'll go with the second task. Second task is to take the column size and then print alternate, black, white, black, white. So we have print alternate values. If the column size is 5, then it will be black, white, black, white, black, right? The third task is, if you are able to achieve the second task, then the third task is to take the column size and the row size, and based on that it should print 2 rows. So whatever output we are getting in the column size at the second task, the same output we have to repeat based on the row size, right? If we are able to achieve this, then the last task would be that based on the column size and row size, right, even vertically it should be changing. So if the row size is 3, let's say, then it should be BW, BW, WB, WB, and then again BW, BW, something like that. This should be the output. Okay. Understood? Are you clear now, Sanjay?